Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faizal bin Muhammad SAUFI. My matric number is 067724. So, question number 1. Test authentication mechanism. 1.1. Test password quality. A static password is often used for authentications due to its simplicity. However, it is also a common target for abuse in a pursuit of convenience. Unfortunately, recent high-profile hacks have revealed that ABCD is widely used and easily compromised password. Manual testing is employed to assess password quality. Trying a basic password like ABCD as depicted in Figure 1 failed to meet the recommended standard outlined in the password advice. Consequently, user registration cannot proceed. In contrast, successful registration requires a password that adheres to the NIST standard recommendations, including at least one lowercase character, one capital character, one number, one special character, and a minimum of 8 characters. 1.2. Test name enumerations. Username enumerations, a type of application vulnerability, occurs when an attacker tries to figure out if a username is real. This problem often occurs on login form, where an error message like username is invalid is displayed. During manual testing for username enumerations, entering an incorrect username or email address as seen in Figure 1 trigger a response saying invalid email or password. Similarly, testing an incorrect password as shown in Figure 1 also prompts the message invalid email and password. To prevent username enumerations, it is essential to ensure that no information is revealed about whether a username is valid or not unless a correct password is provided. This helps to maintain security by not disclosing unnecessary details about user account. 1.3. Test resilience to password guessing. It's crucial to test resilience against password guessing, as weak defense make it easier for attackers to guess password and gain authorized access to account. By obtaining personal information and using password for other services, hackers attempt to breach security. In the provided figure, it illustrates that it will take 49 years for a hacker to crack a password. This length duration acts as a strong deterrent, preventing unauthorized access and enhancing the security of the system. 1.4. Test any account recovery functions. Account recovery is a crucial test to ensure user can regain password to their accounts when they forget password information. This process, depicted in the provided figure, successfully allow user to change their password and log in with the new one, preventing extended disruptions caused by forgotten password. 1.5. Test remember me functions. After a user login, permanent cookies are added to the response, enabling the remember me features. These features utilize distinct cookies linked to individuals in the database, eliminating the need to enter a username and password every time one logins. As illustrated in figure, checking the remember me box instructs the browser to retain cookies. Consequently, even after login out, the system preserves the login and password, streamlining subsequent logins. It's important To note that this features requires the browser to be configured to remember cookies proper functionally.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I will present about test decision management mechanism. Website Application Edition is a tool for web application penetration testing created by Portswigger. It's used for session management testing. So the first one is test token predictability. So to determine the existence of any identifiable or predictable pattern, the variable portion of the session ID should be analyzed. Verb sequencer is used as a session token analyzer to examine the degree of randomness and predictability in a sample dataset. So we give the sequencer a live capture of the site and then examine the randomness and how the session token might be predicted. Then in the verb sequencer, we define the token from the live capture request that will be evaluated. So this is the define the session token to be analyzed, and this one is token analyzer by the verb sequencer. So verb sequencer determines that the sample has a high degree of unpredictability as seen in the figure as seen in this figure. So the effective entropy is calculated to be 106 byte in 106 bit. Then we need to configure out the token values have in common to produce 100 token in a row. We utilize the verb sequencer module. So this figure despite this. So this image show that just the final four numbers are meaningful while the remaining bits are random. So we discovered that the final digit is added one for each token, whereas the remaining byte are created at random. The second is check for insecure transmission of token. So we are use the web proxy to log into a website and with an email address and password, we try to intercept the communication during authentication token interception. The email and password are presented in verb as unencrypted, which suggests the transfer is not secure. So this picture show that unencrypted email and password. The token for login authentication received in this figure, in this for the next for this figure is the decoded by verb suite using the decoder display in like this. So the token is encoded as base 64, which decoded in the communication data. So if a portion of all of the token appeared to be decoded, it should be checked for evident confusion with several ways. Hex, base 64, MD5, and so forth. It may be feasible to decipher the misunderstanding after it has been identified. An automated brute force attack can be carried out if both the format and the obfuscation mechanism can be identified. This is not a smart practice since it leave you open to man-in-the-middle attack, which can sniff to transmission for sensitive information like username and password when you try to connect to the online system. The third one is checking mapping token session. So check the mapping of token to session is a process where to test whether it changed or not during user login and logout in order to prevent the theft of personal data in web system. So if you can see this figure, this is a session cookies that are logged into the web system at the first time. So this is the session cookies for login at the first time, and this is the session cookies after logging out and log in again in the web session. So in conclusion, in checking the token mapping to the session, we might implement it, which is found in line 2 of the token array part, where the session cookies change. This ensures that the page is safe because every time the user log in and log out, the cookies token will change. Last is about test session termination. So session termination is essential component of the session lifecycle. Keeping the session token lifespan as short as possible decrease the risk of the successful session hijacking attempt. This can be viewed as a safeguard against other types of assaults, such as cross-site scripting. The session termination tasks include user interface logout and server-side session termination. The first task is performed by seeing each page through the eye to the eye of a user who wishes to log off of the website. Okay, so for the first task, we implemented to log out of the website without using the browser back button. Then after exiting the web application, we press the browser back button, forcing the user to log in before being able to see the previous page. For example, we try exiting the web and using the back button on the browser while on the complaint page, which can usually be seen in an authorized session on the online application. This allows the website to return to the previous page, but it is not an authorized session as there is no genuine user. The logout button indicates session termination for the first time. So this image show that with the authenticate session, the complaint page of the web application. So the email is still here, and this figure show the authentication session. So the complaint page on the web application, there is no email address here. So we test server-side session termination in the second test. The first thing we do is utilize burp to find the session ID and save it. We next proceed to the page that is only visible and accessible during an authenticated session. We utilize the logout button and meticulously examine the app's behavior with reference to session cookies. So this is the figure that show in Burp Suite. Session cookies for pages are only viewed during authorized session. And this is figure show in Burp Suite session cookies for page are only viewable during unauthorized session. So for both figure, we can see that the session was changed. So we can see here the authenticate session and unauthenticate session change during authorization and during unauthorized session. So we may conclude that they are all on the same page. Session cookies are treated differently, which can protect user data from being compromised. Thank you.
For the test for input-based vulnerability, the first one is SQL injection. in order to do SQL injection for the G-Sharp site, we're gonna use burp suite. So first we're gonna start up burp suite and navigate to the proxy tab, and we'll see this, and then we click on the open browser and put in the G-Sharp URL inside that. At first it won't be load, but just click on the forward and then we're in. At first we don't know what to do, so just type in whatever password or username that you think of and just click. The reason for this is we just want to see the HTTP G-Sharp Heroku app REST user login on the burp suite. Okay, so next we're gonna put the URL into a repeater, and then we can see here, if I can zoom on it, we can see here there's a part that says emails :admin password :admin, right? So we're gonna alter that code and put in admin or 1 equal to 1 dash dash, and then password, just leave it. And when you change it, just keep pressing forward, just keep pressing send, and eventually when you open G-Sharp, you already registered as admin. So how does it work? When we change the admin or 1 equals to 1 dash dash, is we are assuming that the admin is the first account created in the database for this website. Since we don't know either it is the name admin, we also put 1 equals to 1, which indicates the first account, and the dash dash 1 is to make sure that whatever after that will be executed as code. That's will be executed as a comment. That's why we don't need the password to be right, because it changed it into a comment. And that's how we get in as an admin into G-Sharp. For the cross-site scripting attack, we just have to do some shopping, and then we'll be greeted to the tracking your delivery page, like this one. Okay, and when we look at the URL, we can see this: http G-Sharp Heroku app com track result new $ID equals to whatever blah blah blah. So the interesting things about this URL is the ID equals to something. This one is actually very vulnerable to cross-site scripting attack. That's how we gonna put this code: iframe source javascript :alert I am here into the URL, and when we execute it, this will pop up. G-Sharp heroku.com says I am here. What this code do is actually to create a box and to put whatever we put here into the box, and that's how we do cross-site scripting to G-Sharp. Thank you. Now for some suggestion to avoid vulnerabilities for the web page. First, we update the software regularly. Software update usually patches up some bugs or security breaches that has been found and been reported. Next is input validation. Input validation can be done in various ways, such as prepare statement to prevent SQL injection, or use HTML entity encoding like HTML special chars. HTML special chars will convert any special character into HTML entities. And lastly is to validate the length of the input and format. This is also to prevent SQL injection and SSS attack, as it will like shorten the amount of input that you can use, so attackers can't put in like a long SQL code in there. Next is web application firewall. Web application firewall will monitor traffic to and from the web application, so it will detect any unusual activities or unusual pattern from going in and going out of the web page. And lastly is CSP, which is content security policy. Content security policy have several keys in it, such as it has policy declaration to allow sources of various content such as script, style sheets, and image. It also provides type of directive to define sources of content. For an example, default dash src is to define the sources allowed to execute JavaScript. Next is image dash src is also to define the allowed sources for images. And last one is support nonce and hashes to add another layer of security. So hashes can be used to add like another layer of security because it can encrypt data, so data transfer will be more secure in and out or within the web page. Thank you.